Welcome to my home. My name is Hannah Rose. I am a birth doula, birth keeper, lactation counselor, mother, sister. So I am here today to share about my self-directed prenatal care that I curated for myself during my second pregnancy and how that helped prepare me for the successful free birth of my baby boy last year. I would break down my prenatal experience into a few different categories: community, celebration / rites of passage, education, protection, container and team, and practices. So those are the 6 things that I can categorize into, and we'll go over each one in more depth than what I did for each of those. I do want to just really quickly go over the definition of prenatal care for myself and just say that with free birth, there are so many variations of how you can set it up. And for me personally, I did not do any type of medical prenatal care. Yolanda Norris Clark has coined this wild pregnancy, and I like that, but I think I resonate more with self-directed prenatal care because I feel like that kind of ties in my personal responsibility and how I'm bringing the direction that I want my prenatal care to go. For me, when I say prenatal care, I'm not referencing medical prenatal care. The vast majority of women need so much more than that surface level of monitoring that they're offered. I'm going to go deeper into these 6 categories, but how did I get there to begin with? Well, I became pregnant with my second child, and I really just started tapping in, really sitting with myself and feeling into, okay, I am choosing to free birth, and I am choosing out of the system, the medical system, for my prenatal care. So what do I want? What is going to really nourish and support me and my baby in this pregnancy journey? And what is going to help prepare us for this free birth at home? So, and I just kept digging and sitting with it. It's dynamic. It ebbs and flows, and it's fun too. It's like you get to curate this process. And you know what? Maybe someone might not need to do anything different than what they normally would do in their everyday life. And that's okay too. It doesn't need to be some big hubbub, crazy planning and doing all these things. You can be pregnant and just be normal, live your life. It doesn't need to be crazy. But for me, especially it being my first free birth experience and first self-directed pregnancy journey, I did put a lot of effort and energy, investment, time into how I was preparing for the birth and what I was doing to care for myself and my baby. So really high up on the list for me is community. I wanted to be surrounded with other women who were also on a similar journey as I was. So for me, I was able to join the Free Birth Society membership. So I really personally enjoyed the membership. I was only able to do it for that year of pregnancy and then postpartum. And honestly, I would join back up with them again at some point. And they do a lot of virtual circle calls. And I felt like that was really helpful. They do a postpartum planning circle, and they do a virtual village prenatal circle, which that term was coined by Sister Morningstar, and it's essentially like a meeting place and preparation for your birthing time. So we would do this circle every month, and we would do like an opening guided meditation, and each woman got the opportunity to go around and share her dream birth vision. And then if we had time, we would share like a fear or concern that we were releasing. And I think that practice of repetitively speaking forth your dream birth vision is really, for me, was really effective. I really believe a lot in the power of words and what we are bringing forth in spirit. So, and it's actually looked down upon to expect your dream birth to even be a possibility. It's like, oh, don't, you can have a birth plan, but be flexible, because you never know what's going to happen. And it's like, women aren't even allowed to think like, or encouraged, I should say. We are not encouraged to go into that. What would it look like? What would it feel like? And for those women that might be like they're doing a hospital birth because of money reasons or because of fears or whatnot, what if there were no obstacles? What if your partner was on board 100%? What if you had the perfect house? What if you had all the money and the education to feel safe to do a free birth, or to do a home birth, maybe even with a midwifer? What would it, imagine that, step into that for yourself. Those practices are not encouraged in our culture. So even just the act of doing that is almost like a defiance against our mainstream culture. Like, I will stand in my power, and I will imagine what my perfect birth would be. And I will call that into existence, honestly. So, incredibly effective practice. I could go on and on about the membership, but it's just nice to be heard, because you can get on and just share, what's going on for you, and get advice or listen to other women's experiences, whatever it may be for you. It could be you're worried about postpartum, or you're having issues with your partner, or you don't have a partner and you're not pregnant, you're a maiden, or you're a crone, or you're not going to free birth, you're going to have a home birth midwife, but you love the community and you still resonate. So it's not just women in relationships planning for free birth. I was able to make connections with local women in my community, and I was able to go to a really sweet village prenatal, and I also planned my own village prenatal, which I then had some women from the membership come to. So it really did a lot for me in terms of helping to create community, helping to feel like I was part of a community. So these village prenatal gatherings, I feel, would fall under celebration to a certain degree. Essentially, a village prenatal is a gathering of women. So I shared a little bit about the virtual village prenatal, and when you're in person, it's gonna be a little bit more hands-on. Pregnant mamas in the middle of the circle. We're massaging, we're just nurturing, we're feeding them really nutritious, yummy foods. we're singing, we're drumming, we're creating a space that is something that doesn't exist anymore. This is not a baby shower. Yeah, we're holding the space, and like other women can be on the outside of the circle. Like everyone doesn't have to be pregnant. It could be women there in support of the pregnant mamas, and just hearing what's going on for her in that moment. So there's a lot to share and to hold. And so another form of celebration and rite of passage is the Blessing the Mother's Way celebration. So, and that is, it's similar to the village prenatal, but it is more, it's focused specifically on one woman to celebrate her rite of passage with a specific pregnancy. You're setting aside that time and you're saying, this is important for me to celebrate me. It's not about celebrating the baby necessarily. It's not a baby shower. You can look more deeply into these things. There is information online about them. Another celebration rite of passage that I did with my first pregnancy was I invested in some coaching with a woman. It culminated in like a nature walk, vision quest kind of thing, and we did like a little ceremony, crossing over the barrier, leaving my old self behind, stepping into my new role as a mother, like that type of thing. There's definitely a maiden to mother aspect within that kind of rite of passage and work that you can do. More celebrations that I made sure to get into my pregnancy: a solo trip. In my community, there is a woman that hosts music focused retreats for women, and when I saw it, I was definitely felt called. It was like a 4-day retreat on this gorgeous property. At first I was like, I can't afford this, but I kept seeing it and I was just like, oh my gosh, I really, really want to go. And I called it in. We figured it out financially and I was able to go, and it was so incredible. It was so nice to just have a special trip for myself to go and do my own thing, be with other women, be singing, oh my gosh, we did so many fun things. We did like flower mandala songs and co-creating songs and super amazing food and river trips and flower farm trips, and it was, oh my gosh, I can't even, natural dyeing experiences and all these things. And so I was very blessed to be able to take part in that and just step away from my full-on life as a mom to my then 4-year-old and all that entails. It's a lot. So it was really big for me to ask for that and to really put that out there, that this was something that I needed and wanted. So I highly recommend doing a solo trip for yourself in your pregnancy. And also we did a solo family, like, okay, first pregnancy would be baby moon, second pregnancy, which was for me, we did like a special last trip as a family. We went to like a really fun water park kind of thing and spent the night, and our son loved it so much and we had such a blast. And I mean, all the feels and the emotions of that huge transition for your family, of it's never going to be the same once that next child is born. It's already starting to shift slowly, but man, I was emotional. Definitely cried a few times over over the transition. So making that special, I highly recommend doing that. Education. Personally, I found doing the Freebirth Society Freebirth course, I found it useful. I liked it. I would recommend it. It's very in-depth, and I liked having something that I could refer to, something that I did with my partner. We just kind of sat and we went through the topics that were really important to us, and I made notes of the things, my important things that I wanted to just make sure I had down. A lot of personal story in there, and a lot of experience in the birth world that I find very legitimate and helpful. A lot of knowledge between the both of the women that taught the course. Protection. Your birth plan, I can speak for myself here, my birth plans are my own business. Nobody, unless I decide to share with them, needs to know what my birth plans are, or what kind of prenatal care I'm doing, or what's going on with my prenatal care. And I don't care if it's my mom or my sister or the neighbor. I don't need to tell everybody what is going on with me. And it's a huge, the reason, of course I would love to be like, oh yeah, oh my God, of course I'm excited. Of course I want to share. But the problem is, unfortunately, in our culture, this path is looked down upon. So what you're going to get is a bunch of projections and fear-mongering and judgments. And you don't need any of that in your life. I didn't need any of that in my life. So I'm just going to say no thank you. And it's hard. This is not necessarily easy for most women with the choice that we're making here. So it's a lot to navigate, it is, but that's why it's good to have some community behind you, because it helps give you more, it's more of an encouragement, it's more of a foundation to stand on, and of course, other women's stories. Like, this is a legitimate choice. It's my body, my baby, my choice. And so really just being very picky about who you share what with. Protecting your energy. Even with my home birth with a licensed midwife, I had people telling me, are you sure you want to do that? Because, what if something goes wrong? And it's like, really? Are we not past that? Like, can we get with the times here, people? And can we stop projecting all of this fear and BS onto women who are just trying to be in their experience with their baby in their womb? Let women do what they want to do. Okay. Container and team. When I got pregnant, our living situation was not on point. We did not have it together. So that was first and foremost, get our living situation correct. Have the space, the container. That's what I mean by container, is you need to have that figured out. And if you don't have it figured out, there's other ways to figure it out. Rent an Airbnb for 3 weeks. You figure out some kind of trade situation, figure out what river you're gonna birth your baby in. I don't know. There are ways. And your team, who's gonna be there? And this is so important. Yeah. A friend of mine, I did invite, who actually lives next door. They have a son around my son's age. So it really just felt right in the moment of in the community aspect. And she was not a midwife or anything like that, or a doula. So it was definitely helpful having her there, and as a support to not only myself but my husband and my son. So as a family unit, having that support. But yeah, I mean, my only side note was just needing to be very clear with your team of your vision and the things that are really important to you about having them help with the space that you are imagining and the creation of that, and the communication, so they know what it is that you want and don't want and how they need to show up for you. And then practices, which, I mean, again, there's so many different things that you can do. I think within practices is going to be the ways that I cared for myself on the physical level was one of them was going to a chiropractor. And I would really encourage you, if you're going to go to the chiropractor or, body workers, that sort of care, really look into and see if there's anybody in your town that specializes in pregnant women or postpartum. Like, I found a female chiropractor who has extra training, and like all the pregnant women go to her. Like, she's just really well versed in it, and I felt super great about it, and I love the care that I got from her. So I just encourage you to go deeper than just some random chiropractor. And then yoga, like waking up in the morning, doing some stretches, embodied movement, really feeling into like how I need to move my body today or in my practice that I'm intentionally doing. Journaling. I journaled a ton when I was pregnant. I wrote songs. I processed by writing songs and writing and journaling. So that was amazing. And you can watch, I will link my song videos. I'm hoping to get all my songs here up on YouTube and also get my album recorded. Drumming, music, whatever, if you have any kind of musical instrument, it's just definitely like being pregnant is like this amazing creative portal for me, at least, and I've heard for a lot of women. Therapy. I did do a little bit of therapy while I was pregnant. Keeping that channel open within your partnership, working if you need to do work with your partnership and your communication. Nature, being out in nature, of course, going on walks, getting fresh air, jogging, going to the river, going to a lake, doing things for, like, obviously exercise. And so those were just a few more of the practices and care that I did for myself with my self-directed pregnancy. So overall, I had so much fun, and I felt really great about the way that I showed up for myself and my baby during that time. And overall, those things really helped prepare me to have the successful free birth that I did. And another practice was like meditation and the affirmations. I did listen to Yolanda Norris Clark's, she has a meditation track you can find. And yeah, that along with the monthly virtual circles on my membership and my village prenatals and all of my rites of passage celebrations. And I mean, I felt very confident and healthy and alive going into my free birth, and just was really proud of the way that I had created. And that's actually one of the lines in my precious child song, which is, held by the sacred container I created, manifested, and requested. So I would definitely I would listen to my songs, a couple of songs that I wrote, I Am a Portal and Precious Child, because they were part of my mantras and my meditations, affirmations that I wrote for myself while I was pregnant, and that I continue to sing and talk about and say these songs. So it's really like a hypnosis. That's what, when you hear hypnobirthing, that's a huge part of it, is just repeating what it is that you want to focus on over and over again, and really believing in it for yourself. So I hope you found my journey helpful, and I would love to know if you have questions, or I'd love to hear about your journey. Let me know in the comments, and I will link as much information as I can below. If you want to hear more, and I would just encourage you to subscribe to my channel. I have a lot more to share, and I definitely am going to do a video about why I chose Freebirth, because I love getting up on my soapbox and talking about the ethics of birth and the system that we're in and choosing out of it. So subscribe, and you'll hear more of my stories and opinions. Thank you, and I hope to see you again.